Right. So the thing is that if you take a step back and look at the United States historically, it's corporations that paid the biggest tax burden. They paid the biggest tax, and citizens paid a less tax burden to the country's treasury. Over the years, the balance tipped the other way, where the burden is now put on citizens and corporations, and especially billionaires and their companies. They have the means of not tax avoidance, but um, they have extremely good tax advice so that they don't pay that much. So if you listen to Warren Buffett, he's of the opinion that billionaires should pay their fair share of taxes as opposed to citizens. And so the thing is, how do you balance a budget? The U.S. budget is in a deficit, and if you don't have enough income coming in through tax revenues, you're not able to cover that shortfall. So it may be politically expedient to tell people, and especially rich people, that you're going to get tax cuts, and where the normal citizen actually ends up you know ends up paying the tax burden. And if you look at the infrastructure in this country, in America, it's literally crumbling. With most of the money is being spent on a defense budget and transportation, airports, railways. It's unbelievable. And if you visit New York and you look at the state of the roads and the bridges, you will see that how that actually affects the day-to-day economic infrastructure
How do
of
you see the road, sir?
you should come and see for yourself. I mean, in New York, the roads. I mean, if you think of the Delta, and if you look at a city like Dessau, the roads are very similar, New York and Dessau. So I'm telling you for an Egyptian audience that it's really horrendous, and especially during winter when you put salt.
Okay,
Um,
sir, so you mean it's horrendous. Sir Harris is focused on tackling food and housing costs through
right.
price gouging bans and housing intensive incentives, sorry. In
Yes.
contrast, Trump aims to reduce inflation by boosting oil production. Which of these approaches might have a more immediate effect on inflation, and what are the risks of each?
Right. So the thing is this: perception is reality in many countries, right? And that's what you perceive to be real is what people vote on, and that's very much the case in this election. If you actually compare the numbers of the 4 years of Trump and the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, you can see actual growth that has taken place as opposed to the 4 years previously. So that's the point, that if you keep telling things that are not true, there's a lot of that going on in the electioneering.
Okay, sir, as of course, the economic policies of each candidate is one of the most important issues on top of this election and topics on top of this election. How do you see the economic policies influence the Federal Reserve's approach to interest rates, and what impact might this have on borrowing costs for businesses and individuals, sir?
Right. So the thing is, we have to look at growth in the U.S. economy. Ever since the COVID crisis, the US and other economies took a tremendous hit. Now, since that time, it has been immigration, which has been shown to be by the Trump campaign to be something of a negative. to the U.S. Economy. But actually, the increase in immigrants and the workforce has managed to keep the country, on a it's been growing. So I don't see. I mean, if we continue the policies that we have had thus far, I think inflation is coming down, and this would be something of a benefit, because if you look at the United States by 2040, we would have a declining or shrinking population,
Perfect,
which
sir.
does.
Sir Harris emphasizes fair trade partnerships with the European Union and Canada, while on the
Yes,
other hand, Trump proposes broad tariffs on imports. How
yes,
might
exactly.
these trade strategies affect American consumers and businesses in the near term? And could either plan spark trade tensions?
Right. So the Europeans in particular are very concerned that their traditional ally is going to put, increased tariffs on the EU. And we know, I mean, everybody who studied economics will know that tariffs and protectionism does not help the economy. And actually, it is working together with your partners, your Canadian and European partners, that would be beneficial to the U.S. economy. And that's the same story with China. Having, China is the second largest economy, and not working in tandem or working in cooperation, but imposing high tariffs doesn't help the global economy. So it's not just only the US economy, it affects all of us in other parts of the world.
Sir, with Harris supporting a federal minimum wage increase and Trump focusing on tax incentives for job creation, which is one of the very important issues, what impact might each candidate labor policies have on wage growth, especially in sectors like tech, energy, and healthcare?
Right, tech, energy, healthcare. So the thing is, let's take it sector by sector. The tech sector, there is a lot of money, but there isn't enough of a workforce. So there are lots of jobs going in the tech sector, but not enough people to fill those jobs. If you look at the healthcare sector, the US healthcare sector is the most expensive for for patients, and that doesn't augur well. If you look at the cost of medication, if you compare the US and Canada, Canada is far better off. The burden of how much they pay for their medicines and things like that, that is something, something has to be done. You have to reform how the US medical system is run. IT sector, the increasing increasing taxes or having a minimum wage, those things are good, but you need to have investment coming in. A lot of people are concerned of how the punitive tariffs against the European Union and others, which are natural partners, Canadians, would impact on cooperation. So previously, before the Trump years, there was a lot of inward investment coming into the U.S., a lot of Chinese money coming in, and the economy was kind of boosted. So whether the question is whether Trump's tax cuts would actually boost the U.S. economy or not. That's the question.